Let's look at five things that expats, family and business living and working abroad can do, knowing that the likely framework of the withdrawal treaty, with or without the customs and trade agreements included in it, what they can do. First of all, expats can plan their changes before and while the UK remains in the EU. So we know absolutely certainly that the UK is in the EU until the end of March, and then for as long as any transition period. So we know that the scheduled transition period is to the end of 2020, but there's an open-ended arrangement where this could be extended and extended and extended. Now that it creates uncertainty. So we've got two certain dates, that by the end of March 19 or by the end of December 2020. So expats, EU expats wanting to be involved in the UK, or UK expats wanting to be involved in the EU should plan their changes and get those implemented while they are, UK is an EU member state and UK citizens are EU citizens with EU citizens' rights. There could be, what we do know as well is that you should plan an immigration status. So if you are relocated to the UK before the end of before Brexit occurs, or before the end of the transition period, you and your family have got the rights of an EU citizen to live and work in that other country, whether it's an EU citizen in the UK or UK citizen in the EU. The UK have confirmed that if that is done before the end of any transition period, that EU citizen will have the right to remain and live and work in the UK for the rest of their life. Now those rights aren't reciprocated yet and confirmed by member states, and that will be on a case-by-case basis. Cyprus is making it very easy for UK citizens at the moment. So the third point is look at what your immigration status is. With Cyprus, they are offering a 10-year permanent residency visa, basically on a rubber stamp basis, for anybody who can show that they've been living and working in Cyprus for the previous five years. The other thing, the third thing that expats should consider is that what changes do they need to make? Not just planning those changes, but what can they implement during the EU citizenship period that will be easier? So what changes do they need to make to relocate their business? Does a UK business need a branch office in an EU country? So a UK business that wants to have access to the EU could open a branch in Cyprus or open a subsidiary company in Cyprus, and that operation would have access to the EU after Brexit. So by opening it before Brexit, you have those extra scope and retain an element of EU citizenship. But that's also true for individuals. So if you've got a dual citizenship option through parents or grandparents for an Irish passport, a Spanish, a French, a Cypriot passport, then you could take those options up. Another thing that you can do, a fourth thing that you could do, is consider the protection of assets. So if you've got a business abroad, do you need, in Cyprus, do you need a UK subsidiary to keep access to the UK market, or does your UK business need access overseas? If you're working as a self-employed contractor or trader in the EU, do you need to register your business in that country to retain your right to remain and live and work in that country? All these things will be easier if you do it as an EU citizen with EU rights, whether you're moving to the UK or a UK citizen moving to the EU. Cyprus is a particularly good business location and holiday home location. So we're talking if you've got an overseas property investment opportunity or an overseas business that wants access to the EU, or you've got this investments, consider how to protect those assets in terms of ownership and control, while you and your business are living cross-border and protecting those generations. Which brings us to the fifth point, is to review your will. If you own property in Cyprus or in the EU or the UK, there are different rules that apply. So within Europe in 2015, there was a unified law that's been adopted by the EU, and essentially estates are settled on in the country of residence. So if you've got assets that are in an EU country, then they're settled under that law, and generally EU law is all about forced heirship, so it goes down bloodlines. So this is great if you've been married for 40 years with children that have never been divorced, and there's no stepchildren involved, there's no partners involved, there's no unmarried couples involved, there's no relationships where people aren't married or aren't in some form of civil relationship. Where you've got more than one marriage, or you've got stepchildren involved, who inherits in a European country, it could be that your current partner, your current spouse, doesn't benefit that your children from your first marriage do. It could be that you want to favour one child who's not been as successful, but that's not possible under forced heirship rules that exist in many countries within the EU. As an EU citizen, if you revise your will before Brexit, then you can have a will that's enforced that allows you to use your home country's law, and therefore retain the British way, where in your law, within reason, if you make a will of sound mind, then you can leave your assets to whoever you want. So that creates a big opportunity to support your loved ones in the way that you want. So expats should consider that and revise their wills, but also it applies to business assets as well. So without proper arrangements, an overseas business could be tied up in the probate and administration and liquidations within the laws of a foreign country, which would be expensive and eat away at the wealth and the benefits for your loved ones at the wrong time. So by protecting business and property investments overseas and financial investments using trusts and wills, then you can gain some certainty, and those changes should be made as soon as possible. So that's the 5 things that expats can review and do while you're still EU citizens. So world of opportunity out there. We know for certain when Brexit date is in March 19, and that there's likely to be a transition period. The withdrawal treaty that we've announced may not be the final version, but the sticking point, the disagreement's all about custom and trade. And even if they're excluded, the other parts of the withdrawal treaty are likely to be included. So consider that and plan ahead, and be as motivated as suits your family to protect your family and business assets living and working abroad, the overseas property investments. Contact us at ProACT Partnership. We've got a blog where you can watch, read, or listen to our podcasts about Brexit and about expat life for people, family and business living and working abroad. And also on Facebook, you can make comments there and answer questions. If you like any of the things that you see, please share them with other people that have got overseas property and business investments and an expat mindset, and let's make our plans and let's move forward for as slow as we need to, or as quickly as we have to. Let's take the decisions that support our family and our business and our life living and working abroad. This is ProACT Sam from proactpartnership.com. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much.